rolling.
One day I was on Instagram doom scrolling at like 3 a.m. and I heard about this case in the States about this man called Elijah McClain who was wrongfully killed by the police, and it really got to me. He was I think at the time he was 25, and he was a young man with autism, and he was killed literally for doing nothing. But then I found the transcripts of what he had said during the altercation, and he kept apologising, and his last words to the police were, "I forgive you, I love you," which was really powerful to me because I couldn't even fathom feeling like that towards my oppressors. I just did a lot of research into this man, and he used to go around the streets and play violin to the stray cats. It's not just that he was a sweet man, any man killed like that is horrific, but I think, someone so innocent like that really got to me. I wrote an emotional piece on my Instagram and posted it, and I think after that I felt very helpless. I was thinking, I've said what I've had to say and I've done it, but that's sort of it. Nothing's going to come of that. And I sort of was watching all these other demonstrations across the UK, in London, and Manchester and Birmingham, and I was thinking, gosh, I wish we could do something like that. And then I realised we can do something about that. Hi, my name is Tanya. I'm 21 years old and I grew up in Worcester, currently living in Southampton. I've just graduated as a social worker and I'm here to talk about the BLM protest. So I think definitely woke culture did quite a lot for the BLM movement. It obviously propelled it into the headlines, into everyone's thoughts, minds, hashtags, whatever it is. But I suppose with every trend, it also had that negative side that it made it a trend, if that makes sense. This is very random, but I always think about the quote from this musical Hamilton where he says, "This is not a moment, it's a movement." But I think with woke culture involved, it made it very much like a moment. I think very much when we talk about BLM and that whole movement, we think about it COVID, pre-COVID times, and that sort of it. And I don't think people think of it outside of that as something that is ongoing. I think once the outrage died down, once the news stopped covering it, it stopped being a movement and rather just a moment in past time. I think I was surprised to hear the term SJW, not because I've not heard it, but because I've just never, one, called myself that, and two, been called that. I don't think it should be something that you do. It's something that you are, something that you live, and something that you aspire to do every day. Activism isn't something always noteworthy. Waking up and deciding, okay, I'm going to sign one petition a day, or I'm going to learn one fact every day, or I'm going to compliment someone who doesn't look like me. I think slowly, if you build that into your life, you become a true activist or a social justice warrior. At the time, I was young and I think I was naive, and I almost thought, protest done, okay, change. No change. And then I realised you have to keep applying the same pressure, but then applying that same pressure every day is not sustainable. You will burn out, you'll become exhausted, you'll become mentally drained. So applying small pressure, like I said, those small things every day, becomes big pressure. I grew up a large portion of my life believing black was not beautiful. And I think if I had those small affirmations day to day from people around me, my friends, teachers, random people at the shop, I think it would have changed my security levels to this day. So that's not to say that you can't do that. If it's too much for you to sign petitions or to attend rallies, something as uplifting one black person is enough. My own racist experiences have significantly decreased. And I do think that's because of what has been done with the movement. I think if I just listed some of the stuff that's happened to me in Worcester, a lot of people are shocked. When I was younger, little,
like, I think this is between the ages of reception and year 2. So this happened for 3 years. This girl used to every day repeatedly beat me up. So I went to the teachers and I was like, I'm being bullied, what do I do? And she said, have you asked her why she's bullying you? So I asked her, I said, Rachel, why are you bullying me? And she said, because you're brown. And I was like, oh, okay. Went back to the teachers and they said, she didn't say that. So it was a whole thing. My mum and dad had to fight to get the, I don't know what he's called, like the big guy in education, but like the local council to come in. And like eventually she got kicked out of school. But I just think it's crazy that they took 3 years of abuse for them to see it as a problem. I remember one time I was in biology and we were learning about evolution, and like these boys were like, oh my gosh, that's a picture of her. And like everyone laughed, and then the teacher was like, oh, let's move on. And I was like, oh, move on? Like, I'm not going to address that these people literally called me a monkey. I once went on a walk and someone chucked rubbish at me. Granted, I can't prove that that was racism, but you know, my mother and I frequently used to get bag searched. So we'd leave and they'd say, oh, sorry, we've implemented this new bag search thing, and we'd search our bags. My mum once got followed 30 miles by the police because she was driving too slowly. He followed us to the house, as in my mother parked up, and he was like, yeah, hello. We had someone smash all the, what are they called, wind screens of all our cars on our driveway and throw paint. And then when we told the police, they said, we think it's racially attacked. If we suggest you seal up your letterbox. And we said, you're not going to help us? You're not going to help us with this? I have been accused of insane things. And I don't know whether it's decreased because I don't live here anymore, so therefore I can't, vouch for the frequency. But I haven't been back since and felt the same way that I used to feel. So I think that is a testimony that something is working. I just think we just need more of it. So when I moved away, I passed the baton to a lovely gentleman called Anton. He is doing fantastic things. If you've got spare minute, I highly recommend you check out some of the stuff he's doing. But he's constantly meeting up with people, council, mayoral, all that jazz, to sort of elevate Worcester. Like I said, I moved away, but I am planning on moving back, and I do think I want to do a couple talks in a few schools, especially around Black History Month. Black History Month's just gone. I heard some abhorrent things from my brother in terms of what he had learned. I think he'd learned some facts about Beyonce and maybe a few black footballers, and I just don't think that's enough. So hopefully with my social work degree, I can wedge myself into those settings and sort of offer myself as someone the kids can listen to, I suppose. So I think that's the main thing I personally want to do. In terms of Worcester BLM, I'm merely just kind of following now that I've handed it over. So on the night when I found out about his passing, I wrote this statement. It's 3:25 a.m. and I can't sleep because all I can think about is Elijah McClain. I can't stop crying. I'm literally mourning the death of a boy who I've never met because he was taken in such an awful way. He was such a sweet man who deserved and still deserves justice. I struggle to see how his killer's arrests are even up for a debate. Elijah was only 23 years old when 3 police officers took his life. Age 23. It saddens me so much that we live in a world where his murder has gone so long without justice. Same thing happened with Breonna Taylor's killers. Some of Elijah's last words were, I'm just different, I can't breathe, and you're all phenomenal. You're beautiful and I love you, and try to forgive me. This man used to play violin to stray cats so they wouldn't feel so lonely. His life mattered. 3 police officers were arrested for mocking his death of what happened, but not actually the killing of him. He was killed for walking home, which obviously he was well in his rights to do. McClain's family said at the time, whatever the police report says, it's clear that if the police had not attacked Elijah McClain today, he'd be alive. All the officers involved subsequently were cleared of any wrongdoing.